Just to start us off, thank you all for joining us, and thank you, students, for being here. I'll open up quickly. I just want you to take a moment to recognize the land that you're on and the people that live there, and then also to take a moment to realize all the people that you bring with you, your ancestors, your relatives, your community, and then also to be open and capable of listening to what they share with you to about learning from here on out. So thank you for being here. Thank you for the time that we have set aside for some of this work. And we'll just jump right in. I will go ahead and start off with Dr. Arvizo, and we'll move down the line after that. So thank you. Are you looking for the share button? It should be at the bottom of the screen. You're on mute too.
We do so many Zooms, and you would think I would be an expert by now. Okay.
No problem.
I'm not going to take too much time. I just want to give a quick overview of the program. NTU has a fully online Masters of Science in Management Information Systems, and it's fully online. And this is the first fully online graduate degree at a tribal college. So let's see. And it really focuses on information systems and individual foundation and competencies in practices like in business, government, and healthcare. So it just has a realm of resources that this degree covers. And there are admissions requirements. We need official transcripts, and you write a purpose statement, you update your resume, and in a bachelor's of degree, you need to at least have a 2.75 GPA. And there is a GRE requirement, but we're waiving that. And you need 3 letters of recommendation. And also you need to possess aptitude for information science systems, and also, be an advocate for online learning, because if you're not an advocate for online learning, it's going to be challenging to be successful in the online environment. And then you will have an interview with a graduate selection committee, and that happens pretty rapidly. And the curriculum, it requires 36 credits. And we go by semesters, and depending on how many students are interested, we can make it accelerated program. Since we're going to be launching summer 2021, we're hoping that we will get students interested in this program. And all the information can be, we do have financial assistance as well for those students that are interested. We have an honors program here on our campus. We have a scholarship program with American Indian Graduate Center, Cobell Scholarship, VA Education Benefits, and also with Navajo Nation Scholarship Finance Office. So we work really, they're here on our campus. So our students, it's a great opportunity for our students. All the information can be found on our NTU website. It gives an overview, admission requirements, curriculum, and course description. And if you want more information, you can request for more information on that site as well. And I'm the person to contact if you want any information. I know we didn't have much time, but I just wanted to put that out there, kind of like quick. And there's so much into programs. I just wanted to ensure that I covered all that.
Great, that's great information. Thank you for sharing that. At least we get the information out. And I'll be putting a little bit more of the links into the conversation, into the chat box as well.
Very good.
If you want to stop sharing your screen, I will go ahead and I believe that it is Sean next. Yes.
Hi, everybody. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see if I can see my screen now. Okay, so you can see my screen, and I hope that, let me pull this up. Hopefully it's in full presentation mode now, yes? Okay, thank you. I was once in a meeting, Zoom, and it wasn't in presentation mode. Everyone knew but me, so I always double check now. So anyways, hi everybody, my name is Sean Beggs. I'm the director of our Master of Information Systems Management program at the Heinz College at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Like my colleagues today, I'm just gonna blast through some of the higher points or finer points of our graduate degrees. And you'll notice here that there are 2 degrees listed. And in fact, I'll explain this in a little greater detail as we go along. But essentially, I have 2 tracks of the Master of Information Systems Management program. There's our traditional track, which is just referred to as MISM. And then there's the Master of Information Systems Management, Business Intelligence and Data Analytics track, or MISM Beta. I'll quickly go through both of those, but I'm the director of both programs here at Carnegie Mellon and Heinz College. So that said, let me bring this back up. Here's just a stock image of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania when Pittsburgh looks really nice. And you'll notice that I didn't give you a stock image of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in February because it doesn't look as nice as this image does. It's quite cold here right now. We get the really hot, humid weather in the summer. We get the bitter, icy cold in the winter. And the takeaway from all that is that if you study your graduate program here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, we train you to handle anything, including the weather. So that's one takeaway about living in Pittsburgh for a little bit. Here's a picture of our building. Interestingly enough, Heinz College is in Hamburg Hall on campus, and the building itself looks like the letter H, which is kind of nice because we have 2 schools within the Heinz College. We have the School of Information Systems and Management, as you can see on the one banner that's hanging down in the front of our building. And then we also have the School of Public Policy and Management, hence the other banner on the front of our building. And both of these schools have different programs of study within them. And literally, if you think about all the programs that we offer at Heinz, we have something for just about everyone. And so this is what that looks like. This is what Heinz College offers to graduates. And you would want to think about this in terms of buckets. So we have our Information Systems School, and that's where I'm located with our MISM degree. We also have an information security degree in the same bucket as the School of ISM. And then we also conduct executive education. And then as you can see, there are different buckets as well. We have our public policy programs, and then 2 joint ventures with the College of Fine Arts and the Dietrich College, where we have master's degree programs and an undergraduate program, and then several research centers within Heinz College. And just so you know, Heinz is one of the 7 schools that make up Carnegie Mellon University. So in this case, we have, like I said, joint ventures with 2 other schools that are on campus. Regardless, we have PhD programs that also cut across all of these different buckets. So if you're thinking about maybe getting a master's degree, great, so we can take care of that for you. If you want to pursue a PhD, we have that as well under the Heinz College roof. So like I said, something for everybody. We do have a global footprint or global reach. Heinz College operates in the main campus in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But we also have a branch campus in Los Angeles where we offer a program called MEIM. We also are operating out of Washington, D.C. And then we have a bunch of other things sort of littered around the world, being in the Netherlands, Italy, India, and then one of the places that get me the most excited is our campus in South Australia. Yes, Heinz College is in Australia. It's a fun place to go visit. The only issue when you get to our campus there are the kangaroos jumping around, but that's neither here nor there. You have to experience that to see it. But anyways, purpose here is just to explain to you and show you that we have opportunities for our graduates to study within the United States, in Pittsburgh, or across the world. And what we're trying to do is our founding dean had the motto, preparing graduates for intelligent action. That's how we train our graduates. So that means that the course curriculum is very applied, it's quantitative, and it's horizontal. It cuts across different industries, different verticals, and really, when you think about it, the society that we live in today. So within the Information Systems Management School, like I mentioned, I have my MISM and my MISM Beta degrees. Both are really structured to cross-train you. And when you think about the structure and the cross-training, think of two different worlds. You have on one side business, you have on the other side computer science. MISM lives in between those worlds. So we're trying to blend together technical skill sets with managerial and business, alongside, and in this case with our Beta degree, analytics, the deep analytics that are required today to help organizations change the way they operate. MISM itself, the traditional program, it was founded in 1997, and our first class graduated in 1998. So we've been doing this a long time, and fast forward to 2012, when we were seeing just the surge of data that was coming on the scene. And that's when we launched Beta as well. Within the two programs of study, if you want to give yourself the most options when it comes to finding a career, MISM is probably the right path for you. If instead you're someone who wants to work in the field of data science, data analytics, Beta is probably the right field for your or program of study for you. Either case, though, the class sizes are a little bit different. We see a lot more students who want to be trained on the traditional MISM model, and we see fewer students that want to be trained in the data analytics or Beta model. That's starting to change, though. We're seeing really, truth be told here, we're seeing that both class sizes are starting to even out between the two. Within our MISM track, though, you can concentrate with the electives that you are given during the program in different areas, 5 different areas. And you'll see here that these areas are really needed today. So we have managing artificial intelligence and robotics, IT strategy and management, digital marketing and commerce, software development, and then another area of business intelligence. Now you'll note here that this business intelligence the square here is colored differently. And the reason I did that is so that you understand that when we launched MISM, we had these concentrations in-house. And it wasn't until 2012 when we realized we needed to do more with the business intelligence concentration. So what we did was we then launched Beta from that BI concentration. So when you think about MISM and you think about Beta, they're one and the same, but now Beta gives students that opportunity to do that deeper dive into analytics, the deeper dive into the machine learning algorithms, the deeper dive into understanding operations research, so that those students and those graduates who go to work, they're able to take all that analytical power, harness it, and then help organizations facing this global economy today. So we're really proud of the model. We think that it is the most comprehensive model, whether you're in the MISM traditional track or if you want to go deeper in the business intelligence data analytics track. The reason I say that is because we have a lot to choose from. Like we really want you to have this time in your life to think back and say, wow, that was a great graduate experience. So really it's up to you to decide, what do you want this experience to look like? As you can see here, we have some recommended paths. If you want to choose the traditional MISM path, the first and fourth vertical are for you. You can study in just Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and stay in the United States, if you will. Start in Pittsburgh, finish in Pittsburgh, do one of the 5 different concentrations if you want. And the key feature here is it's very flexible in terms of the type of electives you take, because you are on campus and looking at coursework, not only in Heinz College, but from all other different departments at Heinz or at Carnegie Mellon. If, however, you would rather have a little bit of vacation, let's call it that, you may want to consider that fourth vertical, and that would be where you would be in Australia at our campus in Adelaide. So year 1 is spent in Australia, followed up by year 2 in Pittsburgh. That's a global experience. Again, a lot to talk about, a lot of fun if you want to see the world a bit. And then finally, that third vertical would be the business intelligence data analytic track. That's held only in Pittsburgh. That's a deeper dive into business intelligence, and it's all about data analytics. So again, up to you to decide, but we feel pretty confident that no matter what you choose, you will enjoy your graduate experience. Real quick, we are all about careers at Heinz, and so you can look up this information. We have about the last 6 to 7 years worth of data about where our students go to work after they graduate. Just wanted to give you a snapshot, latest data for the 16-month traditional MISM students. They did very well when they graduated. Here are the 21-month students. This will be the students who spent year 1 in Australia and then year 2 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And then finally, our beta students. And please note, this is just a real quick snapshot, but the links below will take you right to the salary statistics. And again, we have all that information from about the last 6 to 7 years posted for the world to see. Our application deadline is January 10th. And I know, today is what, February 19th. That's okay. If you'd like to apply, just go ahead and apply and send me an email, and I'll let our admissions staff know that your application is forthcoming. We need official transcripts, 2 letters of rec, your resume, a statement of purpose. TOEFL, you don't need to worry about that. That's for international students. And the GRE or GMAT, that's optional for 2021. We also ask that you do a video interview. It's optional, but strongly recommended. We do not charge an application fee, so that's a good sign. And then for full-time applicants, we will notify you of your admission status by mid-March. And make sure when you're in the application, check that you want to be considered for merit-based scholarships, because our tuition scholarships for the American Indian College Fund, it ranges anywhere between 30% to 100% tuition. So just make sure you check that box. Any other questions, comments? If you want to meet with me via Zoom, please reach out, send me an email. And if not, if today was helpful for you and you'd like to apply, there's the link, and we look forward to seeing your application. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Sean. I think the next person up is going to be John.
Thanks, Jack. So share screen here. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm John Aslanian from Harvard's Graduate School of Design. I'm Director of Recruitment and Student Affairs. And email's on the bottom there, and I'll put it at the end as well. So thanks for joining us. So we'll talk a little bit about, a lot of the sort of similar themes, I think, that we're hearing, related to how does technology kind of expand across other disciplines, and how can you apply it to putting yourself in this strong position as a professional coming out of grad school. Why go to grad school, right? Well, I think one of the things that separates the GSD, we call it, the Graduate School of Design, separates it a little bit from other programs is the sort of format in which you're learning. We have a studio format of our curriculum in which you're in with other students, and you're applying yourself to a particular problem, but you're looking at it from a very open-ended, very divergent way of thinking at things, incorporating in creativity and imagination into all aspects. So that is probably one of the most defining characteristics of studying in a design school, as opposed to other types of schools that have other forms of pedagogy. So one of the things I like to start with is to sort of break away from the structure of disciplines and think more about the topics. What are you interested in? Then you can take those topics and kind of fit them into a type of learning, a form that it's going to be most beneficial for you. And so, you know, issues of housing, issues of waste, of water, of, you know, social equity, all these types of things, you know, those are going to cut across all disciplines. So really, you know, thinking about what are the topics that are most interesting to me? How can I stitch together computation with environmental conditions, right? How does my technical skill and my technical abilities, how does it translate into social and natural impacts? So I think that's one place to sort of start to kind of wipe the slate clean. And then, you know, a little bit quick facts about our school. You know, the studios are 10 people or less, you know, per studio. The seminars are 12 people. You know, they're very small, intimate cohorts that are within this very large design environment of 950 students. And then, of course, you have all the resources of all the graduate schools at Harvard. And we'll hear from another one later today. You know, that's a huge advantage in a lot of ways, because you have all these sort of specialty graduate schools that all have their own resources, and almost all of them have some connection to technology that you can take advantage of. We have 129 different undergraduate majors that are represented among our students. And there's over 54 languages spoken, 82 different nationalities. So it's a tremendously, you know, diverse environment to be a part of. It's very important that students studying from other countries also have a broad understanding of the peoples that represent the United States. And so you get into these dialogues where you can start to really understand certain issues that are going on in other parts of the world that have connections and have technical sort of places of intervention that you can actually use your technical skill to have an impact. So I think, you know, graduate schools in general are going to have that kind of feel. And then a place like Harvard definitely has that kind of feel at the graduate level. So the areas that we have degree programs in are architecture, landscape architecture, urban planning, urban design, and then two that I'll talk about more a little bit, design engineering and design studies. All of these programs are all have STEM designation from Department of Education. So when you're looking at sort of scholarships and STEM scholarships, you know, many STEM scholarships include these fields. And when I get to design engineering and design studies, they're ones that actually fit quite specifically, although the title doesn't necessarily show up in scholarships. So we work with scholarship organizations sometimes to help them better understand our programs. So the design engineering program, the MDE, is a program, and I'll show the website in a moment. It's a really interesting program that was created in a combination with the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. So we're taking a cohort of basically a third individuals who have an engineering background, a third individuals who have a design background, and a third of the individuals in the cohort are coming from a humanities or social science or data, computer science, different types of things. So we bring those three cohorts together in that format of design education that's more typical in architecture and landscape and things like that. And so you're learning in a different form than you typically are in you know, statistical and sort of technical kind of fields. It's more of a lab format, but it's a little bit adjusted. It's not exactly a lab. Then the design studies program, so it's a little, you know, MDE, MDes, it gets a little confusing. Design engineering is going to be that sort of collaborative degree with the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. Design studies is a research program within the design school. And there's two domains, ecologies and mediums, that are particularly interesting for people looking for technical programs. And so within that design studies program, there's a number of areas that you can select as your trajectory, such as digital fabrication, energy and sustainability, human machine interaction, responsive environments. These are kind of the nodes of research that are going on at the school. And so your courses are based kind of in that group. And then you sort of, your trajectory is from that. You're taking courses at other parts of Harvard, as well as MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which is right down the street, and is also, you have the ability at Harvard to cross-register with MIT classes. So a lot of MIT students are taking classes at the GSD and vice versa. So, related to research, because again, that's a big part of graduate school, is the ability to sort of dig deeper into like high level research. So there are three particular areas at the GSD of our many research clusters. One is the Center for Green Buildings and Cities. This is a unique center, in terms of higher education, in the way that it's using computation and dealing with topics of green building, sustainability, and then on an urban scale for cities. Then we have a group called Responsive Environments and Artifacts, and they're looking at how you use sensors and how you capture the data. So we heard from Carnegie Mellon about being able to use the data. And so there's a responsibility within the design world to sort of figure out ways to capture that data so it can be utilized. And then also material processes and systems, the different sort of innovative materials that we're using, the ways in which we can apply them to maybe things that they weren't necessarily intended for at first, but that we realize are quite effective. Let me just change my share here. Sorry for zooming in and zooming out. I think when, so I'll show you just a couple of websites real quick to kind of give you an idea. The MDE program has its own website and has all kinds of information on it. I suggest taking a look at that because it gives you a good understanding of some of the ways, 2 schools, 2 years, infinite ideas kind of thing. The school behind me here, this is the working location for students at the Graduate School of Design. So it's this big five floors of open space where people are all collaborating together, kind of learning through osmosis. And then the MDE program combines that along with this. They haven't opened it yet because of COVID, but it's a 500,000 square foot campus right across from the business school and kind of connecting a lot of the different parts of the university. It's right next to our Harvard Innovation Labs, which are a university-wide resource. So this is definitely an area that the university, Harvard University, is investing a lot of resources in. So it's a place that is a moment and an opportunity of tremendous growth. And then just to show you quickly, the Responsive Environments and Artifacts Lab has their own page with a lot of the different projects that they're working on. A lot of really interesting things, wearable technologies and things. Materials group also has their own website. This is a great class that's taught nano, micro, macro. Really design is thinking about different scales, really understanding how to apply yourself at the nano scale, the micro scale, the macro scale. Our Harvard Innovation Labs, which is a university-wide resource, has all kinds of venture programs and mentorship and resources available for people with good ideas. We were talking a little bit about entrepreneurship. I think a lot of schools have something like this, like the sort of idea incubators. So when you're looking at schools, always kind of try and find those spaces that are sometimes not affiliated with any particular school within a university, but they're a sort of hub of technology and innovation activity. And then finally, the last thing, if you're a little bit earlier on in your pathway right now, we do have a summer program. It's a 4-week online program this summer that I would encourage people to think about, not just as a way to sort of think about graduate school and design and things like that, but also even just as a standalone experience. I think it can be really a tremendous opportunity for someone to experience a little bit of the sort of ways in which designers are looking at, again, those topics, the same topics that everyone is looking at, but thinking about how can we look at them in a little bit different way, as a designer does, in a little more open-ended way. And then let me just, let's see, sorry, I'll finish up here. There we go. Yeah, the Design Discovery Program, that's the website I just showed you. Really thinking about the spatial dimensions of some of these issues. How can we apply it to space? And then again, there's plenty of need-based scholarships that are available for that as well. It's a relatively inexpensive program to begin with, but then there are full scholarships. Finally, I'll mention the HUNAP program at Harvard. It's the Harvard University Native American program, works with all the schools, all the graduate schools, as well as our undergraduate college, and sort of brings a lot of people together, brings a lot of dialogue around. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary this year, so they've done some really great events. We have an Indigenous Design Collective at the Graduate School of Design. There's only one other one of these that I know of at the major architecture schools. We're really looking at design and indigeneity, and then touches into planning and things where there's a little more resources out there. But this is a great student group. It's doing a lot of great things. And then finally, there's an organization called Graduate Horizons that I would recommend people to think about if you are really serious about graduate school. It's a sort of week-long boot camp to kind of really look at the application process itself, and to sort of make sure that what you're putting on the paper is the most true and definition of who you are and what you want to do and where you come from and what your ideas are, so that when people are reviewing your application, they're getting the truest sense of who you are, and that's all you can be. That's all you can control. You can't try and game the system too much. You just have to, you do you, and if they select you, they select you. And Graduate Horizons helps with some strategies where you can be really effective in the application process. So again, HIDC_GSD on Instagram for the collective. That's my email, and by all means, reach out to me at any time. We can set up a one-on-one or just kind of think about strategies. So thanks again. It's been a great week, Jack. Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate your time. Looking forward to more conversations with you and your team. All right. With that, we'll turn it over to Philika and Shima.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Jack. And okay, I'm sorry, I got to go back one more here.
I think I might need your help trying to make sure that I get my sound to work on my video. So
I always forget that last, share computer sound. So here we go. Let's see. Excellent. Okay. Well, again, thank you, Jack, for that warm introduction. Just want to again express my appreciation to the American Indian College Fund, to the Native Pathways Initiative for hosting Grad School Week, and a special thanks to Jack for inviting us to participate. This is my third presentation, and been sharing a lot of good information about our engineering program as well as our sciences. Today we're focusing on technology, and I'm pleased to have one of our students that's going to join us today and talk about her pathway to Purdue. And as my introduction, hello out there, Yat E, She'e, Philika, Ahastin, Brian, Chia, Nashasha and Shleki Ani, Bushes Chin, Toda Chitni, Zaisha Chedo, Not O Touchini, Ashanella. So a shout out there to all my relatives. I'm from the Navajo Nation, born and raised in New Mexico. Actually just grew up in a small town called Tohatchee, which is not too far from where Navajo Technical University is located. And so I'm pretty familiar with the area there. And I'm here in the Midwestern Indiana in the cornfields. So just know that there's some Navajos out here in the cornfields of Indiana. And so with that, I'd like to move forward with my presentation. Purdue University is located in West Lafayette, Indiana, middle of the cornfields. Again, we are an hour south of Indianapolis and 2 hours north of Chicago. And I hope I got that right. I'm sometimes so directionally challenged, but you'll get the picture. We're close to these two big metropolitan areas. And with the Native American Cultural Center, again, located in Indiana, home of the Potawatomi, the Miami, the Shawnee, the Lenape. These were the original caretakers that called Indiana home before it became a state, and let alone before Purdue University was built. We do recognize that there are some additional tribes that called Indiana home, but due to forced relocation or in some cases extinction, their footprint is no longer felt upon here at the homeland of Indiana. But regardless, we do want to thank all our Indigenous caretakers who took care of the land before it was settled upon. So with that, the Native American Center, we are one of 5 cultural centers at Purdue. And we are under the Office of the Provost in the Division of Diversity and Inclusion. We represent over 65 tribal nations across the campus, which includes our students, our faculty, and our staff, and now our alumni. And we work hard to build a Native community to make sure that our students are thriving and once they come to Purdue, because many of our students tend to come from, sometimes from reservation areas or from tribal communities where they're celebrated with the people, their families and members, but however, we do recognize that Purdue is a predominantly white institution. So for the center here, we often are a second home for many of our students. We focus on nurturing student learning and success, and we provide educational opportunities for the campus community to learn about Indigenous cultures. We do that through lecture presentations, through different type of events that we host throughout the day, throughout the semester. So with that, one of our most successful programs that we have on campus is called the Sloan Indigenous Graduate Partnership Program. And this is where I serve as one of the co-PIs. We have had the Sloan program on campus since 2007, and we currently have 13 scholars in the program. At most, we've had up to 20 scholars. We had a big cohort of students that graduated last year. So we really, this is the lowest number of scholars we've had in a while. We've produced 45 graduate students, 45 alums, and since we opened the doors, which is a very impressive number, given that we are, we're here in Indiana, and we have, we're really proud of the fact that 93% of our students, our retention rate, 93%. We work hard to make sure that when we're recruiting students, that they know that they have a place to come to, and we work with our faculty staff to make sure that they're succeeding. So I'm gonna play this video. It talks more about the SIGP program, and I'll answer a couple of questions at the end.
It's a great opportunity to be able to attend a big university, especially a Big Ten university.
The Sloan Indigenous Graduate Partnership, or the SIGP as we refer to it, is a partnership between the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation and 9 universities in the United States.
The purpose of the Sloan Indigenous Graduate Program is to get Native American students into STEM graduate programs.
The financial support is very helpful, especially as being a poor graduate student.
Students who join the SIGP at Purdue are guaranteed an assistantship, and that assistantship includes tuition. But then beyond the assistantship, at the master's level, they'll receive $20,000, which they can spend over 2 to 3 years that they're in the program. And if they're in their PhD program, they can receive $40,000, which they can spend over the 4 or 5 years that they might be a student.
The funding we get goes straight to the students, and this is important, especially as someone who still provides for their family. I can't stress this enough, is the community within SIGP, because I honestly feel like I wouldn't have gotten this far without the networking that I've done within the SIGP community.
What we try to do is to help build a community within this really large institution that feels more like home.
One of the key things for the success of the program at Purdue for Native students has been the Native American Educational and Cultural Center.
Once I started getting to know everyone at the center, then it kind of brought a little bit of home here.
Students who come to Purdue can expect to work with world-class faculty in facilities that are also world-class. But I would say the reason that students should come here is to join this community that we've created to support them.
SIGP is more than just the funding, and there's also a community standing behind you to get you through grad school.
So with the funding, I do want to just point out that basic requirements is that students will have to be admitted into a STEM program, and our graduate programs are decentralized. So each of the colleges handle their own admissions requirements. And once the students are admitted to the Purdue, to the graduate school, then at that point, we work individually with the scholars or the students to submit their application for the Sloan program. It does require that students show proof of Native heritage, either through tribal enrollment card or certificate of Indian blood, or in some cases, working with the Office of Hawaiian Affairs to ensure that they are of Hawaiian descent. I have another slide here I'm going to share. Let's see. Whoops. Hope I didn't hit the play button again. Okay, good. With today's session, we are focusing on the technology programs at Purdue, and we do have what's called the Purdue Polytechnic Institute. We work closely with the Office of Recruitment and Retention. Tony Mangia is the director and Cindy Lynch are associate directors, and they're very strong advocates for the center as well as for the Sloan program. They do a lot to ensure that our Native students are succeeding. I have a list of some of our technology programs that are listed across the university. I also put their information here. If there's an interest in learning more about the tech programs, you're welcome to email them below. I have their email address here, or you can contact me and I can connect you with Tony and with Cindy. Again, they're very strong advocates. We work with them at the undergraduate level and graduate level. We had most recently we had two of our Native students, Sloan scholars who came through the technology program. Dr. Rylan Chong received his PhD, so now he's faculty at University of Hawaii he's faculty at Shamadan University in Honolulu. And secondly, Adam received from the Lumbee Nation, he received his master's degree. So one of the things too that we're really strong about maintaining that connection with our alums. And whenever I travel throughout the country and meeting with visiting different sites, it's always important that we reach out and connect with our Native alumni. So I'm going to turn this over next to my colleague, our student presenter, Nakima McCormick, and she's going to tell her story. So Nakima, the floor is yours.
All right, thanks, Belika. So I'm Nakima McCormack. In addition to being a Purdue student in the Master's in Health Physics program, I'm also a Lieutenant Commander in the Navy. So some of my background, I'm obviously more of an older non-traditional student. So I'm originally from Louisiana and a member of the United Homa Nation. Back in 1997, I received my undergraduate degree in chemistry. And in 2005, I received a master's in immunology from the University of Virginia. And then in 2007, I commissioned as an officer in the US Navy. And originally I came in teaching as an instructor at the Navy's Nuclear Power School. From there, I transferred into the Navy's radiation health community. So since that time, more recently in 2008, I had an opportunity within the Navy to apply for advanced education in health physics. So in 2019, I began my master's work in health physics. The program I selected is a non-thesis program, but I do some research within the nuclear security realm. And when I graduate, I'll be returning to the Navy, and it's my job to ensure safety of personnel who work with or near radiation. And just an extra plug, even though my funding is from the Navy, I found out about the Native American Center at Purdue early on when I got to the college, and absolutely it's great to have that to go and to feel like you're part of a community when you're in the middle of the cornfield.
Okay, thank you, Nakima. Again, just another example of the high quality and the wonderful students we have at Purdue. So we're really pleased to have Nakima there. As she did mention, she is attending as part of the military, which she gets funding from the Navy. So as a result, she was not able to apply for the Sloan Indigenous Graduate Partnership Program. But regardless, she's still an active member of our Purdue community. The last page I'll share with you is going to be contact information from all our Sloan programs. As Dr. Gibson had mentioned in the video, we are part of a collaboration with 9 institutions across the country. And we have the Purdue University serves as a lead institution. So Dr. Gibson is our program director for all the Sloan programs. We operate independently, and in some cases, we work together just depending on what we're working on. We have students that are coming to Purdue as that are participating in other Sloan programs. And so that's another big way that we're helping to make sure that our students are succeeding and joining our Sloan family. And specifically for the Purdue program, I forgot to mention that we do host weekly seminars with our students. This is a way to ensure that we're connecting with them and to make sure they're succeeding in the classroom. And by that weekly connection, they'll let us know if they're not doing well, or in some cases, if they feel they need a tutor, they can reach out to us right away, and we will work with them to make sure that they're maintaining their classwork. We often gather at the ACES National Conference that takes place. We host our national meetings, and we also have this is a place where we all get our native students together. So sometimes we'll have a room full of up to 50 scholars that are representing all these wonderful programs. So it's a way that we make sure that, we're maintaining that contact within the family. And what's one other good thing that has come across from our group is that we do have a parent group that has formed. We recognize that some of our students have multiple roles serving as parents and as well as graduate students. So as a result, some of our students got together and decided to form a separate network that's part of the SLUM program, focused specifically on parents and how to manage their daily lives and so forth. But again, it shows how we're really working to ensure that our students are succeeding. So with that, I would like to conclude my presentation. I'll throw my information into the chat room, and I'll be here if anybody has any questions. But again, I appreciate you joining us and learning about Purdue. And again, thanks to Jack for hosting this week-long event.
Great, thank you for your presentation. And then we'll move right into Marina's presentation.
Great, thank you, Jack. So I will share my screen. Let me know if you can see the presentation. Again, great, perfect. So hi, my name is Marina McDonald, and I'm the Admissions and Program Manager in the Doctoral Programs Office at Harvard Business School. And today we'll talk about the PhD programs that we offer here at HBS. And students in our doctoral programs, they represent diverse backgrounds and degrees and undergraduate schools, disciplines, and that includes them coming from such areas as computer science, information technology, and areas alike. So I will briefly talk about the mission of our doctoral programs, which is to educate scholars who make a difference in the world through rigorous academic research that influences practice. And what that means is we are looking for students who are interested in a career in academia, in business academia, and those who are interested in doing research that has this practical application, as our faculty members engage with a number of corporations, organizations, and then faculty and students interact with the broader HBS alumni network to make sure that this research that they do does have this practical application. And all of our programs are joined with the Harvard Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. So when you enroll in our program, you also become a member of HBS as well as GSAS, and you have access to resources in both communities. So I'll briefly talk about the programs that we offer, and I'm happy to answer questions about them in more detail. But we have 7 different programs. Under the business administration umbrella, we have a program in accounting and management, where our students focus on managerial or financial accounting. Then our program in marketing has 2 tracks. It's consumer behavior or quantitative marketing program. Then we have a program in strategy, a technology and operations management, which has 2 tracks. It is innovation and operations. Then in addition to business administration, we have a program in business economics, which is joined with the economics department at the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. So here you have 2 tracks that you can select from. It is finance or applied economics. And then within applied economics, there is a number of different areas as well. For example, industrial organization, labor, development, and a few other fields. Then health policy is an inter-faculty program. So that is joined with HBS, Kennedy School of Government, Chan School of Public Health, Harvard Medical School, and the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. And the management track is housed at HBS. In the organizational behavior program, we have 2 tracks. It is macro, so the grounding in sociology, and then the micro track, and the grounding is in psychology. All of our programs are fully funded, so all admitted students do get full financial support. There is no need to submit a separate application. If you get the offer, you get the funding. Tuition is covered for up to 5 years, as long as the student is in good academic standing, complies with all of the course requirements. And then we pay, in addition to covering tuition, annual stipend. And this academic year, it is $43,860. We cover health insurance for up to 5 years. And then if someone comes with a family member, we have additional funding to provide family insurance as well. We provide research funding for research projects, funding for participating in conferences. Every student gets space on campus, so it's office space. And we also provide a laptop, which is upgraded on a 3-year cycle. I will talk a little bit about the life cycle of a PhD student, as it differs a lot from that of an MBA student, for example. So it is a 5-year full-time program. Normally, it does take between 5 to 6 years, though, as it depends on how the research evolves over time. So all of our students start on day 1, which is August 1st, which is when they are working on a research project with a faculty member at HBS. And then when classes start, students start taking doctoral level coursework while still working on that project with the faculty. This coursework prepares them for the comprehensive or field exam. And the courses can be taken at HBS, the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, and our students are able to cross-register into doctoral courses at MIT. And then they attend seminars, listening to faculty presentations in their areas of interest, and keep doing research, which includes a 2nd-year publishable quality paper. In year 3, we do see a bit of a transition. So the doctoral level coursework is behind you, and this is where you are required to take 2 MBA level courses. So that's to kind of have you look at what an MBA classroom looks like, what questions the MBA students ask, and how that differs from that of what doctoral students ask. And also, this is kind of to help you understand how faculty take their research and then weave that research into their course teaching. Then you would keep working on research. It's either individual projects or collaborations with faculty or other doctoral students, attending conferences, whether presenting or just attending, and working on a dissertation proposal, which is like a roadmap that you and your faculty develop together to have the best plan to move forward. And then in year 5, that's where our students go on the job market and defend the dissertation and then graduate. So in terms of student support while in the program, the most important piece of support is your faculty advisor. They're not just there to teach you in academic courses, but also are there to serve as collaborators on research and mentor you towards individual research as well. Then the Student-Centered Program Office is the Doctoral Program Administration Office. So we're there to support you, guide you to the resources. And in terms of research support, we do have a number of resources. For example, Baker librarians, they're there to help you figure out how to have access to data, how to purchase that data, negotiate with companies about accessing that data. And then Research Computing Services is a team of trained statisticians, people with economics PhDs, computer science specialists, and they are there to help you understand how to best manage the data that you have, analyze that data. Then Behavioral Research Services are there to help you experiment with a subject pool. So they do have an experimental research lab that students have access to. And then the Center for Writing and Communication, they help you to get your ideas on paper once you have those wonderful ideas. And then you also would have access to Institute for Quantitative Social Sciences, which is Harvard University's largest social science research center, as well as teaching and learning centers that you would have access to as well as a doctoral student. In terms of placement, as I mentioned, our programs are research intensive and they lead to a career in academia. So about 79% of our graduates do go into academia. So Brown, MIT, NYU, and a number of other schools. About 18% of our students do go on to the private sector. So they work in consulting firms, tech firms, finance industry, and then about 3% go into these quasi-academic positions where they work for Federal Reserve or IMF or World Bank. And sometimes they combine working at these organizations and teaching, or they go and do some work at an organization like that, and then they go back to teaching in academia. I will talk briefly about the application requirements. So only a bachelor's degree is required to apply to our programs. So we do not require a master's degree. And about 42% of applicants do come with bachelor's degree only. The application deadline is the same every year. So we have one application cycle. Applications open in September of every year, and then they are due on December 1st at 5 p.m. Eastern time every year as well. You apply through the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences portal, and what we are asking for is your statement of purpose. And that's where we get to know you, we get to know your interests, your experience to date, why you would like to apply to a doctoral program, why a doctoral program at a business school, why HBS, as well as why now is the right time for you to apply. We do ask for a resume or CV. It does not have a limit as to how many pages it can be, as opposed to the statement of purpose, which has a limit of 1,000 words. So anything that does not fit in there, feel free to put that into your CV. We also do ask for transcripts, and that is from any school that you attended. So any undergrad, grad school, any summer courses, any study abroad, we will ask for those transcripts. They do not have to be coming from the school directly. They can just be unofficial copies at the time of application. We do ask for either GRE or GMAT test scores. We do not have a preference between them. If you are applying broadly to different schools, see if they have these requirements, if they require one or the other, and we will take either of these tests. Normally, we see scores in the 80th percentile or higher. It does not mean that if you have a lower score, that is the end of it all and you're not able to be accepted. We do look at the application in its entirety, and if we see lower scores, we turn to other components of the application. And due to COVID this year, for example, we were flexible with the deadline for taking the test, and also for next application cycle. If this year you took the test and it was online at home, we will take those scores. So you don't have to go to the test center and sit in person. For international students, which I don't know if this applies, but we do ask either TOEFL or IELTS to show English language proficiency. And then we do ask for 3 letters of recommendation. And we ask that those come from faculty, as if faculty worked with you on research project, for example, they can speak to your potential to do research, to your potential to be successful as a doctoral student. So at least one of them should be from an academic source, but if all 3 are from an academic source, that is great. So some of the next steps that you can take if you are considering applying to a doctoral program in business, you can explore this website, DocNet. It is a consortium of business schools where you get access to all the programs that they have. You will notice that the same program at different schools might have a different name. So it's good to familiarize yourself with what is out there. Engaging with research, if you are looking for a career in academia, is something that is important. So looking for research opportunities in your area, taking doctoral level coursework to see if this is something that you're interested in and would like to dedicate the next 5 years of your life to. Start reading academic articles to see what that style of writing is, and subscribing to working paper series to see what faculty are working on and what they're publishing. At HBS, we do have HBS working paper series. So you are welcome to sign up for that one and get weekly or monthly emails. And then connecting with the community. So talking to the faculty that you know, talking to current doctoral students, seeing what kind of helped them make that decision and if they would do it all over again if they were to go and start their doctoral program from year 1. And just this quick 2 ways to prepare for a doctoral program at HBS. We do have a research associate program. which is a team that works with faculty, and they help faculty to identify their research needs. And then they also see who might be looking for research opportunity, and they are working on matching interested applicants with faculty to work as a research associate. And then this is for undergraduate students only, raising sophomores, juniors, or seniors. We have a Primo program, which is a program for research in markets and organizations, which I currently manage. The application just passed for this summer, but applications are always open in December or January and then are due mid-February for the summer program, which is normally 10 weeks. And this is where we pair an undergraduate student with a faculty member at HBS. And for the duration of 10 weeks, they do research in business and kind of get introduced to business academia. So this is a great opportunity for someone who is looking to see if this is something they might be interested in. And if you have any questions, here's our email address. I manage this email box along with a few of my team members. So we're happy to answer any questions through this. We can do it via email or schedule a phone call. Thank you so much for your attention, and thank you, Jack, for inviting me.
Great, thank you, Marina, I appreciate it. We have one more presentation, and I'm going to see if I can do it. We had invited the University of Arizona to participate, but they couldn't join, so they sent a video. And let me see if I can get my screen.
Hey, Jack, we can't hear it. We can't hear the video. You may have to unshare it and then go back, and at the bottom it says share computer sound. I always forget that last little bit, right before you're ready to share. You're on mute right now. We can't hear you.
Thank you. This is a good way to wrap up Friday for sure. Well, I can't find the button to share the sound on it, and we were looking for it earlier. So I'm just going to send out that link to all the attendees to view later. So with that, this is the closeout. So I'm going to turn it over to students and see if there are any questions, any specific questions. If you want me to ask you to ask a question, I'll be more than happy to do that for you. And a few of you have been here over the past couple of days to listen to some of these presentations. So there's been a lot of really good information. Amber, I think that if you can't find that button on your screen, then it's not going to show up. And I mean, it's just that basically she's right. It's usually just a button that says share computer sound, and it's not in either one of our menus. So I'm not sure what happened and why we can't find it. So any questions from any of the students or attendees? Well, great. I think that, I do have one question, Nakima. What is health physics? Like, what specifically does that sort of entail?
That's a really good question, because it isn't a field that very many people are familiar with, because it is a pretty small field overall. But basically, anyone who's occupationally exposed to radiation, whether that's around a nuclear power plant or whether it's because they work in a hospital around radiation sources like CAT scans and that sort of thing, or they work in nuclear medicine. If you have a relative who was unfortunate, had cancer, but they had radiation therapy, health physicists work in those different environments to ensure that people who are working around radiation are safe in that environment. So it could be anything from just monitoring the levels that they're exposed to calculating whether or not sufficient shielding is provided to make sure they're exposed to low doses. It's kind of a variety of different things and a variety of different options for career choices within health physics. But that's what I do.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, because I'd not heard of it before, so I was wondering, like, where, like, is that a specific type of, like, how does it sort of come to specifics when you're thinking about the study of that? Because that's it's kind of amazing. It's kind of fun to know that there's something out there like that.
Yes, I actually hadn't heard about it until I got into the field myself.
Well, that's, I mean, you know, I think that that's probably one of the key components too. You know, we've been talking to students over the, you know, the course of the week, and, you know, the questions that have emerged, and I think that, you know, these are still some of the questions that I think are pretty, you know, prevalent. And I think you're pointing out something is that, you know, when you go into a graduate program, you have an idea that you kind of know what you want to do, but then it changes over time, and then you should be flexible to allow for that to happen. Masters are not so much so, but PhD programs, definitely, like, you start off thinking that I'm going to do this one, you know, research project on just this one small population. And it turns out that that small population is large in comparison to what you want to know. So you've got to figure out, like, how do I draft this question? So I'm only looking at, you know, this percentage of this larger population to get at a really good understanding. And so I think that's kind of, you know, interesting and fun that, one, it can open the door to new study, or it helps you sort of refine. And I think that that's probably one of the key components that I think many of the presenters agree with, is that when you move into the area of thinking of a graduate program, it's not like an undergrad, you know, process. It's not about you just getting into school and thinking, like, I'm going to get a degree and everything's going to be fine, which happens to some degree, but, you know, ultimately the more successful you are depends upon, like, how you can get to a point of synthesizing what it is that you want, like your interest, your desire for outcome. You know, people always ask, is there extra support for someone who's working full time? You know, there is a lot of support to that, but it's not like we supply this much money for people who are working full time. The supports are basically sort of driven to be helpful to everyone kind of in the same way. But then once you're in the program, like, support happens, you know, and I shared that, you know, there are the brave souls who have babies during their PhD programs, you know, and that's another part of this too, is that there's never a right time to, you know, have a baby, and there's never a right time to pick going to school. If you want to do it, then you do it, and you be good about knowing why you want to do it. And then that sort of becomes the reason, in quotes, but also the way to tell us how to be helpful and supportive to what you want to do. And that's also, you know, trying to get to that point of being clear. You know, grad school is a lofty goal for sure, and it's one that we want everybody to achieve, but sometimes it may not be the needed pathway to get to where you want to go. And so it's always really good to have some conversations with, you know, admissions officers, faculty and staff. And that's another part of this too. You know, someone asked about the networking component. How does that sort of play out to being helpful to being selected? But it's more so, it's not about being selected. It's more about, like, you know, you're telling me a story, and I don't think that coming to HBS is the school for you. You may want to go to the School of Design. Just by, you know, listening to how you're sort of telling me your story, I would love for you to be here and be successful, because you could do that. But more importantly, what I'm hearing is that this is the way you're emerging as an academic, probably, or as somebody who's curious. And so it's always really nice to be able to sit down with someone who has been working in this field for a while to be helpful to that advisory role in that step. And that's something that I'm telling the students to sort of think about, like, you know, when we say informational interviews, we're not just sort of telling you to go find out information to help your application look good. We're basically telling you to go and find people who did this so they can tell you like, hey, this is what it's like. It's awesome, but it's hard and it sucks. But you know what? I love what I do and it's amazing. And I'm so glad that I did it and I picked the right school because the right school gave me the right support and, just being able to sort of figure out like, what does that pathway, look like? So on that note, I'm going to say thank you again to all of our presenters and thank you for those who presented more than once. And we really appreciate everybody's time, the students as well. Showing up means that you care about yourself enough and you're on the way to something. We hope it's grad school, but more importantly, we hope it's to become all of the change agents and the healers of the world that we all invest our time in education for. So thank you all for joining. And oh, wait. Oh, someone just said that they didn't have questions, but they wanted to say thank you. So they emailed me. So thank you all again. And I appreciate everybody for being here.